Welcome to Behind the Muscle podcast. Today's guest is an Army Ranger veteran and NPC bodybuilder. Today's guest is J.D. Meyers. J.D., welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, man. It's my pleasure. And I'm looking forward to our conversation. The first question, J.D., that I have for you is, who are a few of your favorite bodybuilders of all time?
Well, the first person that comes to mind for me is Jay Cutler. So I love Jay Cutler's story. He's an inspiration. He also represents the sport, I think, better than anybody does. Obviously, the last year in Vegas, I've personally got to know him, and I've realized how much of an awesome guy he is, down to earth, very kind, very nice, loves to help people, and just loves to, be in the sport and be involved. And I think that's awesome. Plus, like his resilience to, you know, become Mr. Olympia, be second all those years, then lose the title, then to come back is just something you can't deny. It's just inspirational and is a true great of all time. He's a legend. So if I had to go down to one, it would be Jay Cutler all the way. And a close second would probably be Flex Lewis, just because, Flex is 212, and 7-time Mr. Olympia. He has a family opening the gym. He's an inspiration also. And he represents himself, his family, and the sport, with the utmost excellence.
Absolutely, man. And I'm right with you with Jay Cutler. He's my all-time favorite. And literally probably every podcast or every other podcast, Jay Cutler is at least one of those all-time favorites for my guests. So it just goes to speak volumes about, who he is, like you mentioned, as a person, and what he accomplished on the bodybuilding stage. Now, I want to ask you, since you're in the NPC and you've got your eyes on an IFBB pro card, who are a few of the current guys on the circuit within the IFBB that you really admire, respect, look up to their physiques?
I really, I like Nick Walker, love his physique. He really brings a great attitude. I think for me, it's more his attitude more than his physique, and how he carries himself, how he's regimented, how he just sticks to the detail. He's on point every time and he stays driven. And I think that's something that I can relate to. Obviously, from my military background, I bring that into how I bodybuild and how I train. I like to stay on schedule, don't miss meals, I don't miss training. I like to do it all at the same time. But when it comes to physique and admiring someone's physique, it's Ian Valliere. I love his physique, his waistline. I love, everything, how he trains, his volume, his set. And I just love his attitude. I love everything about him and everything he brings to the stage. I think his legs and glutes are incredible. And like people say, you can't even see it in pictures. So I can only imagine what it's like in person. So, and just that conditioning that he brings. And then, the hard work that he did this year, going 4 shows back to back and bringing his A game. And then in the Arnold, looking like he may be 3rd or 4th, and then coming back that night show, willing himself to get 2nd. So, and I thought, I just love his physique. I love his side shots. That taper when he hits that quarter turn from the side is just nasty.
Very cool, man. Those are definitely a couple of guys with Nick and Ian that we're going to be seeing for years to come on the Olympia stage. So I want to kind of just ask you, JD, at what age did you start lifting weights, and then why did you start lifting weights at that age?
I started training and kind of lifting weights at a very like younger age. I would say I was in martial arts for years, Taekwondo mostly. So I started working out because I became into the circuit of fighting, and I was part of the USTU, and I ended up being a 4-time junior Olympic champion. I made the junior Olympic team twice. And then in the last time I fought, I was 16 and I fought in the Olympic trials in 96. Ended up taking third and losing to a 32-year-old, but I was 16. And I just started there, and my parents started me at Taekwondo at 4, and I started really training hard when I hit about 12, 13. Not as much weightlifting, but more body weight exercise, becoming faster and training that way. Then I left the circuit because I wanted to play football. And obviously, I started weight training at football at 16, where I worked with a NFL linebacker, played for the Cowboys, named Eric Files. He trained me 2 times a week on speed training. That was in the weight room. That was working on my 40 time. And that's where I got my work ethic, was through sports and starting that. And I always admired bodybuilding. I just, was always involved in Taekwondo to football, and then I went on to play football in college. I played for Kentucky Wesleyan, and I played for them for 3 years. And I trained more there and gained size that way.
Awesome, man. So we're going to transition now. You kind of touched a little bit on some of your activities when you're younger, but really what I enjoy about this podcast and what, a lot of the listeners and viewers enjoy is kind of getting, quote unquote, behind the muscle, right? Getting behind, everything that we kind of see on social media and on YouTube. So talk about, where did you grow up? And then why don't you just kind of start talking about those younger years, the childhood? You mentioned your parents put you in Taekwondo at a very young age. Just paint that picture for us. Just talk about kind of whatever you want in terms of childhood. Talk about your parents, their influence, and we'll kind of stop at high school and then we'll move on from there.
I was born in Des Moines, Iowa. My entire family is from Iowa. My entire family are farmers. My grandfather was a military veteran also. So the military is kind of family thing. And when he got done in the military, he started his own grain elevator, which now is one of only 3, I think, grain elevators in Iowa. Very hardworking. He gets his hands dirty. All my 4 uncles all work there. They carry on the business. My mom is that side of her family. She doesn't work in, obviously, farming, but she was involved in it very much. And that's kind of where my work ethic began, where I like to see, is because I lived in Iowa in the summer times when my parents moved away for 15 years. I was on the farm. I ran the combine. I did farming. I shut corn. I went through the fields. I dug grain the bins, the beans out. I cleaned it, and that's where the work started. Then, as I got, my parents got me involved in Taekwondo. I did other things, and one of my dad's main rule was, when you start something, you finish it. When you're done with it, you can be done with it and not do it anymore, but you always keep going. And my father put that influence on me at a very young age. So I knew that if I wanted to do something, that I had to finish regardless. So that's when I got involved in Taekwondo. And when I got involved in Taekwondo and fighting, I was all over. Like, I missed a lot of school, so I had to do a lot of makeup work. I mean, I went to Colorado Springs to the Olympic Training Center and fought. I went, all over the nation, all over, and was fought at a lot of times. I would be ranked. My last 4 years, I was ranked 1 and 2 in the nation as a fighter in lightweight. So it was a rigorous thing. And then I was away from my friends all the time, and it was just a sacrifice. And after I turned 16, I was done, and I started taking football more serious. And then once I started football, it was the same thing. You start this, you don't stop. So, and one thing led to another, and I took that work ethic of being on the farm to, starting something not finished and working hard to become such a good fighter, to now into football, where I had to become faster because I wasn't always fast. So I trained to be fast. I had to get bigger because I wasn't always the biggest, and ended up earning a scholarship to play at Kentucky Wesleyan. So that's kind of where I was. Um, it's just a very young age. My mom and my dad, not just my dad, just instilled in me that, quitting's not an option. You don't quit. So no matter what you go through, you see it through, and then that's it. And that's what I've taken to my work, to, you know, to my daughter, and to anything I go into.
So, first of all, I was born in Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
This podcast is happening on my end in Iowa. I own a gym about an hour from Sioux City, Iowa, if you know where that's at, which I'm sure you do. The majority of my family still lives in Iowa. My mom's from Winterset, if you know where that's at. It's about an hour from Des Moines. So I just had to make sure I put that out there. So when you are talking about Iowa, I get it. Born and raised and spent a lot of time here in Iowa. So
Yeah.
that's super cool that we have that in common. Did not know that obviously before this, but talk about being away from school so much, in those developmental years and those younger years, and being involved in the taekwondo and the traveling. Was that hard for you, JD, in terms of being away from friends and not maybe having the normal quote unquote social aspect of things of other kids, or were you just so consumed in those athletics and pursuing what you wanted to pursue at that age that it didn't really matter?
It didn't matter. I didn't know any different. So, I'd see my friends, and my friends would be like, "Where do you go all the time?" And then, I would tell them, and then, then it would be, "Oh, wow." And then, I'd be gone. So it didn't really affect me because it was so young. It didn't start affecting me until I was in high school, really. So, because then it's a little different social aspect. You're more involved in your social life than I was when I was in, sixth, seventh, eighth grade. But I mean, I stayed involved in it, pretty much halfway through high school. So I was juggling, you know, losing weight and making weight to football and trying to gain weight back. So, and then that's when, I knew one day, even my dad told me, you're going to have to make the decision. Like, which one is it going to be? So, and then once I got the honor of being invited to the Olympic trials to, in at such a young age too, only being 16, and fighting some, world renowned fighters that were very old, and, they were older and stuff, and they had already been in the Olympics before. It was, a big deal. And then winning 2 fights and basically being third was a huge deal, a huge accomplishment. And I held on to it for a while, but then I was like, football's where my passion is now. So I moved on to football.
So how did you get exposed to football, and what kind of pulled you in? Because obviously there had to be a pretty big pull to go from almost making the Olympics to then kind of giving up the taekwondo and stepping into football. Like, where did that influence come in, and what was that pull that really caught your attention?
My family's entire football family. So my parents are, since I can remember being a kid, Dallas Cowboy fans. When they got married, they went to Super Bowl 12 for their honeymoon, which was in New Orleans, which was Dallas, Denver, and Dallas won. That was their thing. So, I mean, my mom knows football, my dad knows football. I mean, Sundays is football, Saturdays is football. So it was like, I want to do this because this is what we did traditionally. We didn't miss games. So, and that was a huge deal in my family. So it was just always there. Even when I was young too, it was always there. We were always watching football. I remember being 7, 8 and being downstairs and my dad's watching football all day. So, and my mom's right there with him watching every game too. And it's still like that today. Like Saturday, Sunday, that's where my parents are. I know where they are. So that's kind of what drew me away. I was so split that it just drew me. And I just made the decision that that's what I wanted to put my time into.
So am I talking to a Cyclones fan or a Hawkeyes fan?
Hawkeyes.
Okay.
Hawkeyes all the way.
I have to ask that. I've got a couple other Iowa questions I'm going to ask later on, because it's always fun to talk to a fellow Iowegian. So you started playing football. Why don't you talk about just those experiences? What position did you play? Talk about the opportunity to play college football. What was that experience like? And then I've got some questions from there.
So high school, I played receiver, running back, and I was like third string quarterback. And then mostly I played defense. I played DB. So I moved from safety to corner. So I moved all around. So I played both in Virginia. I played in Virginia. That's where we lived at the time, at Manassas Park. I was one of the first players ever to get all conference and all met in receiver and cornerback. So I was all met in both, which was a big deal too, because I was one of the first in our school. So then as time went on, I ended up getting some offers and stuff, and I went ahead and went to Kentucky Wesleyan, where I played corner primarily and kick returner, punt returner. So I did that. I set a couple school records. I think it's been broken now, but I had the longest interception return, and it was like 98 yards. I think it's been broken now. I think it's like third. I also had the most pass breakups in the season with 16. And I started there. I was a 3-year starter for them. So yeah, I mean, that's sums up my football life.
No, that's cool, man. I had an opportunity to play football at Central College in Pella, Iowa. So whenever you have an opportunity to play a college sport, it's definitely a great opportunity and can be a really awesome experience. So what did you study in college, and what was kind of your mindset transitioning from high school into college? Did you kind of have something on your mind that you wanted to be, or some sort of a career? And how did that kind of transpire once you got to college and started going through your studies?
I always wanted to be a cop. There was no doubt. I read a lot of comic books. That's how my mom taught me how to read, was giving me comic books and learning how to read them, actually, not just look at the pictures. So I had influences from, just being a hero. And like, that's where I got the influence to look a certain way also. And I knew I was going to be a police officer from day one. So my obvious choice was my BS in criminal justice. So that's what I got my degree in.
So talk about post-college then, when you graduated, what happened? Because obviously you went into the military at some point. So just share with myself and the listeners what it looked like after you got done with college.
I was real influenced by 9/11, and I was only 2.5 years into college, I think, when that happened. And I basically wanted to leave then. I was ready to sign the dotted line and go. Some people convinced me to wait. And if I felt it's that same way after I graduated to do it, well, it didn't change. I had a lot of passion and, upset about what happened, and I wanted to make a difference. So in wanting to make that difference, I went to MEBS and I signed an 18 X-ray contract, and basically was their SF contract. Went through everything, was going through basic, got recruited by Rangers, Ranger Regiment, and then was top PT in basic, and also was the top soldier for basic training. So I was honored for that. And then went to airborne school, then went to what they call Ranger Inauguration Program, where I set 2 records, most pull-ups and most push-ups for their PT. So I ended up being on the wall for that. And then I went into Ranger Regiment, where I was in 3rd Battalion, 1st Squad. So, and I was on the line. I carried the 240 for a long time, and then I ended up on the line, and then went to Ranger School and graduated Ranger School, and then served my time. Then once I was done, I actually got injured. My foot got injured. So it was basically a medical discharge, honorable medical. And my foot had 3 surgeries on it. I was in the hospital for 6 months. And then I was in like a moon boot on crutches for 8. and doing physical therapy. So it was a long process. They told me I probably would never walk again. And the last surgery I went in for, they asked my dad where they wanted to cut the foot off because they didn't think it was going to survive. I was lucky that my doctor saved the foot. So I'm very blessed to at least have my foot. I do have a lot of pain in it, and I do walk with a limp, but it's something that I've learned to get to work around. And then once I got better, I went to a physical therapist in Florida, which was one of the best in Bradenton Beach Island. He ended up recovering my foot. I ended up getting back in physical shape. I joined Savannah Police Department. I was on Savannah Police Department for 8 years. Then I retired basically, and opened my own gym. It was called Iron Bodies Gym. It was open for 4 years, and I basically had to close down because of COVID. So I opened, it was Iron Bodies, it's black and yellow, it's beautiful gym, beautiful facility. It was a goal of mine to have my own gym, to save up. I achieved the goal, used all my own money, no one else's, cashed out my retirement, everything I had saved. And I went through Arsenal Strength. They helped me, build the gym, design it, everything, brought everything in. And it was awesome. And was supported well. And, I was raising my daughter on my own and still working as a cop full time and running a gym. So it was real, and I was competing. So it was, a balancing act. My daughter kind of from the ages of 1 to 3 was basically grew up in a gym. So I then, when I lost it to COVID, it was a sad day. I was very upset, but things happen, and I'm still trying to recover from the losses of that gym. So when and I was still working as a cop, I had changed police departments to Rincon Police Department, which is a smaller like city municipality inside another county. And I just wanted to make a change because my mental health wasn't where I wanted it to be. And, we don't talk about that a lot, but my mental health was very bad because I lost my gym, some other things that happened in my life. And, I ended up getting injured really bad on the job, and I couldn't take care of my daughter on my own. So I had to get help. And it was not a good time for me. So, my house went in foreclosure because they didn't want to pay me while I was injured. I had to get a whole legal battle. So it was just a rough time, and mentally I wasn't right, and I needed to do something and make a change. So I picked up and moved to Vegas, never being there before. And I have to say it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made so far. I'm in such a better place now. I have a great job, and I'm getting paid more than I ever did as a cop here. And, I have a great community around me. I found a lot of support through friends there that I have made. My circle remains pretty small because, I lost a lot of friends here because, when you go through hard times, you find out who your friends are. I found out I didn't have any. So, I was going through hard time. I was on my own, and I got out there, and I just found out that, there's better people, and you can find them. And, anybody that does listen to this, you don't have to give up. There's better people out there, and they'll support you. Both gyms, I go to Fit Club, and Fit Club is my family in Las Vegas. They have been nothing but accepting. So, and I can't be more thankful that I found them than anything. And, I've made so many good connections, and it's just great. And then plus I found Dom, and he coaches me. And I also found Andy, who runs the newbie, who I'm on that system all the time. If you see my Instagram, I'm on it all the time. And they have influenced me and kept me positive throughout everything I've been through. And when you become more positive, good things happen. And I'm not where I want to be with everything, but I'm going to get there. And I know I'm going to get there. And that's what matters the most. When you know you can do it, it's different than just sitting somewhere and drowning yourself in your misery. And I just feel so much better. I'm so much happier. I'm in a way better place. And that's good for my daughter too, because I can be a better father. And then she's what's most important. So that's pretty much all the way up to date.
All right, so we're gonna rewind because I want to unpack some of what you just shared because there's a lot there, right? And again, getting behind the muscle, being able to dig into people's stories, it's so important because somebody's going to listen to this, and because of your story, because of what you're sharing on this podcast, they're going to be positively impacted, right? So let's go back to you're a police officer. You open up the gym, COVID hits. Share as much as you want to share in terms of why you had to close that gym, because there's a lot of people that lost a lot during that time. And this is a very relatable thing to a lot of people that are going to be listening to this.
So the gym was doing well before COVID. I was in the positive. It was running. Obviously, it was very busy for me. At the time, I was dating someone. I was engaged, and just like I said, surrounding yourself with the right people. And in hindsight, looking at this, it wasn't the right person, and I was being pushed to give the gym up, let someone else run it, pay someone to manage it, don't do it yourself, do this. And I ended up buying a house, and we ended up moving into the house with my daughter and her. And I was still a cop, so it was in the area I was a cop at. So I was driving back and forth to the gym. I was now trying to have someone else manage it. And at the same time, like, then COVID hit. And then I have this person managing it, and I can't have them manage it anymore. So that's gone. And then my time was split through everything. Then my money as a cop, which everybody knows cops don't make a lot, was some of my money was going into the gym because I was trying to keep it afloat as much as I could. Then once Savannah shut us down, and this is kind of what people don't understand. I'm a police officer. I have an image to uphold as a police officer, because other people that own facilities bend the rules and break them a little bit. I can't do that, because if I bend the rules and I break them, then people are going to look at me as, well, Josh is a police officer and he's not listening to what the governor or the mayor of Savannah say. So why do we have to do it? And I had to be an example. So I had to close my doors because I could not keep it open for certain people to come in and keep people paying. That's not fair. Other facilities could. So I had a lot of members slander me and come at me because they felt that I was like not being fair for whatever reason. And that's fine. They have their right to think what they want. Then October came, or yeah, September, October, and I couldn't afford it anymore. So I found someone to sell the equipment. The bank didn't help me. I didn't get any of the PPP loans. I didn't get anything. I got denied. My bank told me and my father that I wasn't an important business, that they had more important businesses to give money to. So I closed it down. I sold the equipment. And I gave as much as I could to the loan. I remember when I closed the gym, I was sitting there and I was just crying because it was my dream. It's what I wanted, and I had accomplished it, and I was proud of accomplishing it. I just wish that I would have been maybe like made some changes or did some things different to keep it open. Um, I was on, and then after that, I was on duty, and we ended up chasing a suspect up a roof, and I ended up tackling him and falling off the roof a week later. I injured my shoulder, broke 5 ribs, clinched my vertebrae, which was causing nerve damage through my arm and my left leg. And now I couldn't even train. And I was hung up in the hospital. So I got out of the hospital and came home, and nobody was home. My partner was gone. She packed up her stuff and left. and it was just me and my kid. And I couldn't even I couldn't even take a shower myself because I was so injured. So how am I gonna give my 3-year-old a bath? So I tried it for a week and I couldn't do it. I couldn't even do laundry. So and I wasn't getting paid anymore, and I had nowhere to turn. I was angry. I had pushed my parents away, and it wasn't good for my daughter. So I called my daughter's mom, and she said, "I'll come get her." So I had to give up my daughter too. So I kind of, in a sense, lost my kid. I lost my gym, and now I'm going to lose my house. So I was just like upset at the world. I blamed everybody but me. And then eventually, my parents, because of who they are, they had to sell their house to come take over this house. And I owe them. And my dad got me out of foreclosure, and, it was getting a little better. And then I had to hire lawyers to file a suit. And then I made the decision that I was going to move. I had no idea where I was going to go. I just wanted to be as far away from Georgia as I could get. So I just one day was watching Cutler TV, and Jay was like, "Everyone should come out to Vegas. It's great out here." So I packed my car up and I left for Vegas. And when I left and I drove the 37-hour drive, I told myself before I leave that any tears, any negative thoughts, anything, I was going to leave behind as I drove and let it out. And I let it out as much as I could. And yeah, at the beginning, I had some negative thoughts, but they slowly diminished as I started meeting people, and different people who were positive. And then found out my story, came into my life, and I started believing that I can make changes, because good things started happening for me because I started believing. And that's where, then I started looking back and saying, I could have done this better. So next time I can do this better, and I can do that. And instead of blaming everyone else, I looked at myself in the mirror and said, this is my fault. This is where I was wrong. This is what I need to do to make a change, to make a difference in my life. And, so if the opportunity ever did come along, or someone maybe asked me, "Hey, I'm going to open a business. What did you do wrong?" I'm able to self-reflect now and understand. Some things are harder to let go than others, and I'm still working on letting things go and not being angry about them. But we're all a work in progress. But I feel that I've come so far, and I accredit a lot of that to Andy, and being with him, around him all the time, and him keeping me positive and just, always keeping a smile on my face. I accredit Dom. Since I've been with him, he has kept my mentality and my, everything so high. Just let me do everything. You just lift, train, go to work, and do your thing, and I'll take care of everything else. And it's just, and there's other people too. I can't even name them all. They're just incredible people who've just been there for me. And I can't express to people, like I said before, anybody listening, there's way better people out there. If you have bad people in your life, trust me, there's better people. And these people haven't even been in my life a year. And they're probably closer friends of mine than I've known people here for 12 years. So that's pretty much, a nutshell of what happened and why I'm at where I'm at.
And I want to touch on another thing or two, and then we're gonna spend the rest of our time talking bodybuilding, right? But now you said you were able to, after you moved out to Las Vegas, kind of start going through the self-reflection process, and you kind of started taking accountability for maybe some of your actions or wrong decisions, however you want to word out all of that. So now being removed for a while from that situation, back in Georgia, what is maybe the major takeaway, or a couple major takeaways from that time? Let's just call it kind of that downfall that now you're like, you know what? That is something, or those are a couple things that I learned during that downfall, and moving forward, I'm not going to, do this, or this is something that has really helped me progress as a human being. What are a couple things from that time?
Basically, like I talked about, like letting things go. Like when someone has an opinion or a feeling, or, I shouldn't take it so personal, and let it go and understand that that's their feelings. It's not a personal attack on me all the time. It's their opinion and their feelings and how they want to handle things. And once whatever altercation or confrontation we have, I just need to understand it's not personal. Let it go. And a lot of times in business, when I would have business relationships with friends, they would say what they needed to say. I would say what I need to say. And I probably took it more personal than I should have. I don't know how they took it because I'm not them. And I probably could have let it go and not been so mad about it and holding on to it, because that's not healthy. And that's what causes a lot of confliction and things between people that don't need to be there. If you just drop it and not take it personal. And I lost friends that way, close friends, or at least people I thought were close friends, when they weren't paying me or they were doing something I didn't want. And then I confronted them about it. And maybe on me, I let it go for so long because they were my friend. I was like, you know what? They won't do it. They won't keep doing it. And they kept doing it. So I could have drawn the line right away, and that could have nipped it in the bud right there. And I didn't. I kept letting them push the line. And once I let them push the line, it got so far when I did say something, they took it so personal. They said things that they probably didn't mean. I said things that I didn't mean. And then I was like, you're gone. And that's things that I understand in business now. There's a difference between a friendship and a business relationship. And mixing them I don't think is a good idea. Some people can do it. I don't think I can. If I was ever to run, and that's one thing I've learned so well is I will never mix friendship and business. If I'm a part of a business with someone, yeah, we're not going to be like just business. We'll know personal things, but I don't want to be someone's best friend going into a business with them. I don't think I can do that, because I think a lot of times I expect more out of my friends than I do a business relationship, because I had business relationships in the gym and I didn't expect anything from them. When they didn't do something I wanted, I was like, okay, I'll just keep calling you until you do it, or I'll find someone else to do it. When I had a friend that was my business relationship in my gym, I let them get away with everything. And I never said anything because I was like, they'll do the right thing because they're my friend. And that's one of the biggest things that I learned from running my gym, is that aspect right there. And I see it, every day, like people lose friendships over business. And it's sad, but that's the world we live in, especially when it comes to money. So if I had to, that would be also anything, just being more like strict on like payments, and or like not organizing, because I was very organized. I was a very organized person. But like when someone came in, look, your dues are due. And I wouldn't charge them the late fee because they'd say, hey, I'd have it next week. And I needed to be more. And it comes to the same thing when it's a friendship, but it may not have been a friendship, but it's someone I knew that I'd met over time at the gym. And I'm like, they're going to pay me. And then I wouldn't charge them that late fee that was in their contract. And that's where I made mistakes. And that's where, like, I'm not saying it would have saved my business, but it would have made my business a lot better. And I think people would have understood he runs a business. So he had to close down because he runs a business. He's not our friend. He runs the business. He's got to keep, his family fed and his daughter and everything for her done. And that's where I kind of lost everything, like just lost my business.
I own a gym, like I mentioned earlier, and what you just shared, JD, for me personally is speaking to me, and that's very powerful. So thank you for touching on that. Now let's start talking about some brighter things. You've brought up your daughter several times. We were chatting about her before we hit record. So before we spend the rest of our time talking about bodybuilding, which I'm really excited to talk about in regards to you, let's talk about your daughter. How has she changed your life, and what does she mean to you?
Well, I will say that I'm a little bit less risk taker. When I was a police officer, I took a lot of risks, and I did get hurt, and I did things. And, like when I got her, it kind of toned me down. Like, and that's what everyone that I knew on the department, they're like, "Oh, you're having a kid now, man." They're like, "You're going to be toned down." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm going to be the same person." But yeah, it really toned me down. And, my daughter's mom told me she had two daughters before, she had Jordan, not with me. And she told me, "You're just going to you've never felt love like this." And I was like, "No, it'll be the same." And from the minute she was born, it was, I never wanted to protect something so hard my entire life. And just every time I'm with her or I'm spending time with her, it's smiles. And you can never replace memories with your kid and your daughter, whether it's a son or a daughter, I'm sure, but I only know daughter because that's all I got. And, it's so hard saying no to her, but I can't express the amount of love I have for her. And I just want to see her, like, I don't ever want her to be hurt. You get those feelings. I get anxiety because I don't want her hurt. I worry when she plays with other kids because I don't want her to hurt them. Or, I'm just, it's a crazy feeling that's so hard to describe that people would describe to me, and I'd be like, "Nah, it's not going to be like that." But it really is. It's incredible. And she brings me so much motivation, to show her that, everything that I do and why I do it, not to quit, and I hope one day, when I am gone, she'll know the story of what happened. And that's, coming into another subject. That's why I want my card so bad, is that, it's more personal for me than it's about the card. It's just, I've been working for this since 2013, and it's been a long time and a long grind. And I want her to see, look, no matter what, if you work hard years and years and stay patient and consistent and never quit, you will get what you want and you will achieve your goals. So it's more like I want her to see that. So if there's anything I leave behind to her, it's that resiliency, that stubbornness, that consistency to, always know you can do it if you never give up. And that's what's important to me, especially with why I keep going and why I keep bodybuilding, besides the fact that I love it and I don't know what I would do without it. But that's just one of my biggest motivators, is her.
Very cool. All right. So we're going to spend the rest of our conversation discussing bodybuilding. So talk about when your first competition was. I think you just said 2013. So why don't you just unpack your competition history, some of the ups, some of the downs in regards to bodybuilding. And then once we kind of talk about the competition history, I've got some more conversation I'd like to have in terms of your time out in Vegas. But let's talk about the competition history first, please.
Um, End of, I want to say 2014 was my first show. I did a Dexter Jackson Classic. I was all natural. I was a lightweight. I weighed 149 pounds, 151 on stage. I took second in novice, second in open, and I just basically fell in love with it. And this is before there was classic and all that. So, and then I basically was done after that show in 2014, and I decided, my coach, and wasn't the great, it wasn't the greatest guidance. It was like, "You should do nationals." And I was like, "I don't know, that's a big show." It was in Miami, nationals, NPC nationals. It's crazy. So I said, okay. So I started prepping for nationals, which it was a long time away. So, you know, and I prepped for nationals, and I went to nationals, and it was an eye opener. My coach wasn't with me. My parents went with me, and I was like, I saw people like Phil Heath there. I saw The Rock there. I saw, yeah, oh, and I'm like, all these people are there, and I'm like, wow. And obviously I didn't do too hot. Um, I was like, I think 15th. I don't even know, like, and it was, and I had gotten sick too because I wasn't used to some of the stuff, and I got real sick. And basically, it wasn't a bad experience, but it wasn't a good experience either. But I just like didn't want to stop, even though I had done so bad because I wanted to do better. Um, then I stuck to a couple local shows, and then eventually changed coaches to Eric Diffiner, who's out of Florida, who's really one of my close friends, and he pretty much is like educated me on everything. So I would say my next big thing was um, 2017. I went to Junior USA's and I placed second in middleweight. So I had gained some size. I think I was like 169, maybe 170, or yeah, 170, and was the best I ever looked. And it was a huge deal for me. So plus, like, they come out with that magazine, and I was on the magazine and all that. So it was a good motivator. I did NPCU that year, and I placed top five. And then from there, in 2018, I did NPCU again and placed top five. No, wait. Yeah, in 2018, NPCU top five. Then went to Masters Nationals and got sixth. Then came back and 2019, um, I trained pretty hard in my obviously my own gym, and this was like the first time that I was getting like full off season. I gained a lot of size, and I moved up to light heavy, and I took the overall at Miami Beach Muscle. I won Masters and Open overall. So there's some other shows in between there. I really can't remember. I know there's another national show I placed top five too, and I've been knocking on the door. So it's kind of like I've been knocking on the door. 2020, I only got to do NPCU because of everything that happened, and I placed second in Open light heavyweight. So I've just been kind of like knocking at the door, and I made the coaching change after just like I was with another coach, not Eric, and it wasn't a good experience. Um, I was doing good, and then kind of like I started prep, and he kind of like just I didn't like the way I was going. I didn't like what I was seeing. I didn't like the way I was feeling, and Andy guided me to Dom, and then that's when I met Dom, and it's been incredible since then. And now I'm getting ready for nationals. So
Talk about your relationship with Dom. He's been a guest on the podcast. Seems like a really awesome guy. I know he's been through his own personal struggles and ups and downs, and he made the move from the New York area out to Vegas, kind of like you, right? Just I think for a fresh start is what he said. So talk about what Dom has done for you, and just that connection, that relationship in terms of client athlete, but I'm sure there's a very personal connection as well.
yes, basically, I knew Dom before he started coaching me. He, befriended me. We talked, and we knew each other through Andy because I knew Andy before. And we talked, and he would, guided me. He always kept me positive even before he was my coach, because that's what kind of person Dominic is. He's gonna tell you a flat out the truth, 100%. But he also, on top of it, is going to, put in a good spin on it and make you feel positive walking out, and he always did that for me, always. And I'm a very loyal person, so it was hard for me to make a switch because I'm loyal. And I kept it. So when I sent him pictures because I was going to do another show, I was going to do North Americans. He was completely honest. He's like, "You're not ready." but he's like, you're there, but you're not ready. And he's like, I could get you ready, but it's not going to be the results you want. Let's do this. And that from that day one that I said yes, he has been by my side. He answers when I need him. He has been on top of everything. You know, he has worked on my posing. You know, he is always putting a positive spin. And the first thing he told me, which totally changed everything for me, because it's the first prep, he said, you do not worry about anything except posing, lifting, and eating and going to work. I will take care of everything. Don't stress about your weight. Don't stress about your look. Don't stress about anything. Anything you need, I will take care of. You text me and tell me what you need, and I'll get it for you, whatever you need. And that's how it's been. And if I need him, if I'm like, Dom, you want to take a look at me? He's like, I'll meet you at the gym. And he is just, I know not all his clients are, probably with him in Vegas, but I know that if he was with that client and they were, that's how he would be. He bends over backwards for you. And it's incredible. And his knowledge is like, I've learned more from him in the last 6 months than I have from anyone, and he had it figured out right away, and he was on top of it because the changes with me came fast, and then if something accelerated too fast, he knew how to back it off and, keep me going. So he also is, changed my workouts, like the volume, and he works it in with the diet. So if, my diet's this, he's like, we're going to decrease the volume here, or we're going to increase the volume there. I want you to keep doing this, but I want your volume here, so I'm going to give you more food here. So it's every intricate detail he's on top of. So you just know, and it's incredible. The progress I've made in just this time. Like I can't wait to get on stage to see the final product, and I can't wait to do an all season with him. I'm really looking forward to the next couple of years for me.
Absolutely, man. That I know that pro card is it's right around the corner, right? And why don't you talk about Fit Club? I know I've seen some Instagram posts at the Dragon's Lair. So why don't you talk about, because that's everything that I'm starting to hear and observe through YouTube and through social media, is that everybody's saying Vegas is the new Mecca, and it just may be, but talk about having other top level amateurs. Mr. Olympia athletes, top level IFBB athletes, coaches, just in that Vegas area, in the gyms you're training at. What is that environment like for you, JD? And what has it really done for you, personally, but also in your pursuit to be a professional bodybuilder?
It's crazy. Like when I went down there, it wasn't like that. People had rumored that it was becoming like that, but it wasn't like that. And then as I got down there longer, more and more people started coming. You start seeing these people, and you're like, wow. And then you're like, these are people that when I'm sitting here in a small city like Savannah, Georgia, I see on YouTube. Now I'm seeing them in person. So it's kind of like, and they're celebrities to us because we're in this world. So it's incredible. And I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of people I just never thought I would meet. And you see them and it motivates you. You can look at it too. You can let it demotivate you, or it can motivate you, and it motivates me. So to see them training, to see me training, and everyone is overly, it doesn't matter if, you see Sean Roden or you see a person that's just starting. Everybody will come up and they will compliment you. They will say hi to you, and they will help you. That's the kind of atmosphere that Vegas has right now, and especially the Dragon's Lair. The Dragon's Lair that's something that it has there. It's extra. It's a little motivating, and when you go in there and you see that, and people are, like, wow. And, but I split my time, but I do spend most of my time at Fit Club because that's where my family is. And it's the same thing there. There's pros that are in there, and, everybody there is overly motivating. They push you, they support you, they post you, and it's incredible, that atmosphere that Fit Club has, because a lot of people don't know it because they don't go into Fit Club, but the people that do go there, and it's growing, Fit Club is growing. It's an incredible environment, you go in there and, the owner knows who you are, the workers know who you are, everyone knows who you are. You've got Andy in there who trains a bunch of talented people and a bunch of great physiques. He trains Jennifer Dory. He's trained, he's training Sean Roden. He's all over the place. And, working with him has just been an incredible experience because his knowledge is way above anybody I've ever dealt with before too. So he just, he knows how to get into the muscle. He knows how to work the newbie. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to pull back sets in volume. And you work with all these people and the people that work with these people, and it changes your attitude. And when your attitude changes, your physique changes a lot faster. And that's what I've noticed here. I trained hard when I was in Savannah, and I worked hard and my physique changed, but it felt like I was gritting and grinding for every little change. When I'm in Vegas and I work with these people and I see these people and they motivate me and I have that positive attitude, it's like my physique just goes from this to this to this. And that's the atmosphere that's going on in Vegas right now. All the gyms, even the powerhouse that just opened, they're all like that. It's all like that with these people. And you get really surprised when you go down there how nice and genuine people really are. And like I said, that's why I love it there.
Yeah, I'm excited. The founder of Arsenal Strength, he was a guest on the podcast, and obviously he's very well connected with Flex Lewis. So he told me, he said, hey, if you ever want to go out to the Dragon's Lair, and meet Flex, he said, you just let me know. I'll set you up and all that. So at some point, someday, I'd love to get out to Vegas. I've been there before. I've been to the Mr. Olympia out there, but I'd love to come check out some of those gyms and connect with you and some of the other people that I've had on the podcast. Cause it just seems like it seems like a very encouraging environment. And a lot of times us bodybuilders and those of us kind of in the gym business and stuff, we kind of get a bad rap, and rightly so, because there's a bunch of knuckleheads too within our industry. But that's really awesome. Now, JD, what is kind of where is your mindset at from kind of just the day-to-day? Do you have like a mantra? Is there a word? Is there just something that you kind of focus your mind on every single day to continue to move yourself forward? And that's just not only, I'm talking about bodybuilding, but just life in general. Is there anything like that you kind of fixate your mind on?
Just get better every day. I know Hunter has that thing where he says, win the day. I mean, that's a good one, but I'm trying to improve myself every day a little bit, whether that's, financially, bodybuilding, lifting heavier, whatever it is, just do something better every day. And every little progress or every little step you take, even if it's, a baby step, is a place you weren't yesterday. And that's kind of how I like to see things, is just to get better every day, no matter how small the step, no matter how little progress it is, because those little progress in 365 days, yeah, that's a lot of progress. And that's how I like to wake up, and I like to be like, I got to get better today. And that's been my go for especially the last 6 months being with Dom, is I'm just going to get better every day. Like, that's all I have to do. Like, if something goes wrong and not everything is, goes right, it doesn't matter. Just find a way and get better. And just, that way you're always going to win. You're always going to be a winner, no matter what. So no matter results of nationals, no matter what, as long as I get better every day, I'm going to be a better person inside, which, like I said before, and I know I said this, helps my daughter and helps her life, helps my life, helps everyone, my family, helps everyone around me.
100%, man. 100%. So how many weeks are you from nationals then?
7. I think it's 7 right now.
Cool. Now,
I don't even keep track of that. Dom keeps track of that.
Yeah, there you go. Right. That's what he told you, man. Hey, you just eat, sleep, train, go to your job, and I'll take care of everything else. That's awesome. Now, when you win, and earn your IFBB Pro card this year, will in your mind, I'm sure you'll probably have to talk to Dom and maybe come up with a game plan, but in your mind, would you like to step on an IFBB Pro stage, in the near future then in 2022?
I would, but that's going to be on. I'll let Dom make that decision. He can control. I'm going to do what he wants. I'm not going to I treat the off season like prep. I'm probably even worse in the off season if you really want to be honest. I don't. This is a 365-day thing. I eat consistently what I'm told, what I do. I don't falter. I don't go away. I don't miss workouts. I don't miss training. Once I get whatever season, if it's off season or on season, once I get my plan, we know the goals and they're set. My schedule gets worked, and every day that comes up, my schedule's written out. So if whatever he wants to do, I'm gonna do, and my schedule will work that. So if I've got to save money for this, I got to save money for that. I work my schedule to do it. If it doesn't matter what comes in from as small as a doctor's appointment, that's worked into my schedule. I got this doctor's appointment, so I need to eat this, and then I train here, or I train there, then go to the doctor's appointment, then I eat this. That's how my schedule works out. So it's consistently as much as I can, the same every day, unless something gets looped in there. And that's how I do it 365 days a year. So I don't like to me, I've done this now since 2013, eating like this and doing this. I don't have a lot of cravings. I'm not like a big foodie. People are like, well, what's your favorite? I don't know. Chicken and rice. That's my favorite food. That's just how I am now. I used to not be like that. I used to want to eat everything. But as time has gone on, I'm just used to it. I enjoy what my meal is next. So, and that's how it is. I don't, besides a burger and fry from maybe In and Out, that's about all I crave. So
Very cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm excited to see what happens at nationals this year. I'm excited to see what the future holds for you as you step into the IFBB. If that's what the future holds, I'm sure it does. I'm assuming you'll be competing in the 212 then division. Is that correct?
yes.
Cool. Okay. Now, in terms of bodybuilding, we're gonna wrap it up here in a couple more minutes. We've been going for right around 60 minutes, so I want to be respectful of your time. So, JD, you've been training for a long time now. What have you learned in terms of training all of these years as you've gotten older and you've been in the game for a long time, as we all do? Obviously, every day we're aging. In terms of training, how have you maybe had to make some adjustments from when you first started training in bodybuilding to kind of how you train now? I know you said Dom has made some adjustments for your training, but how do you think making some adjustments within your training is going to help you with the longevity side of bodybuilding?
Yeah. So when I've done it every way. I've done the high volume Jay Cutler style. I've done the Dorian Yates style. I've done it all. My favorite way personally to train. I probably won't be able to train like this forever. Um, I used to have a training partner when I was in Iron Bodies. His name is Alex Nademeyer. We used to train. He used to be a huge power or Georgia strongman. He coaches strongman. He coaches powerlifting, but he's very intelligent and knows his stuff. He got me on training where we would hit 3 compound movements and our accessories, usually in between those compound movements. And we would do an all out set, and then we would do a back off set where if our all out set was set for 6 to 10 reps, then our back off set was 12 to 15. So the weight would come down to make sure we got those 12 to 15, and we would go heavy. And it changed my physique a lot. It gave me a lot of density. It gave me a lot of thickness. It gave me a lot of muscle that I hold, especially in my legs. And that's how I love to train. Longevity wise, I probably wouldn't be able to train like that forever. However, that is my style. That's what I like. I like the 2 sets, the all out, as heavy as you can go, 6 to 10, 6 to 8 reps, and then the back off, 12 to 15. However, lately I've been doing a lot of volume, pushing the volume a little bit, pushing it back, but also keeping the strength up high. Andy will judge how I feel. and he'll say, let's do, we're going to do a lot of, little bit lower weight, but we're going to keep the weight consistency. And we'll do a lot of RP sets, rest pulse sets. We'll do a lot of drop sets. We always get nice and warmed up, especially legs. We'll do, we usually always start out with split squats. So, Bulgarians, and I really pump out the leg and we get the blood in there, from leg extensions to sissy squat superset to the Bulgarian split squats. And then we go to like the true squat, the hack squat, the leg press, and we press heavy. And it's like 2-3 sets. But if he thinks that 2 sets is enough, then we're done. And usually I'm failing. Like he's spotting me, and that's how we train. More volume on, more consistency on the weight, keeping the weight the same. So maybe the first, set I got 4 plates on, I do 12. And then the next set, he's like, let's keep it here and let me see 10. And then I'll, if I only get 8, he'll pull weight off. He'll like, go again, in the same set. And then that's how he does it. He's very, it's by what I've eaten, how I look, and what I do. So that's kind of how I've been training. I've noticed that like, I don't have a lot of injuries. I don't have a lot of like, those nagging pains. I've never really had shoulder nagging pains or knee pains, but I'll get elbow pains and, lower back pains. I don't get those. And, Dom has added a lot more volume to 3 working sets with an RP set or a drop set. And that's the way I've been training. And I think longevity wise, that's the way I'll keep training. And I'll, eventually start going away from like certain movements like barbell rows and deadlifts because, Dexter Jackson said it best. Don't be afraid of machines. You can gain size on these machines. And eventually, like, as you get older, because I'm not young, I'm in my upper 30s. So that's where, I'll eventually start going. But me personally, if I could go all life, I would go the all out set deadlift, all out set barbell row, all out set, any whatever, compound movement, and the drop set, and keep going with my accessories in between. But
for sure, man. I think that speaks to most of us right now. I've got one more question kind of pertaining to yourself personally, and then I've got an Iowa question, and then I'm going to give you the kind of the final thoughts, the final word, and we're gonna finish up this conversation. So, the future JD, you're pursuing the IFBB Pro card, and this is something you're passionate about. So I'm assuming bodybuilding is going to tie into the future JD. But when you think about 5 years, 10 years down the road, maybe you are still competing, maybe you're not, but you've got that IFBB Pro card. And we know that the competing ends for all of us. You just brought up Dexter Jackson. At some point it's done. What do you want the future to be for yourself, JD? Like, what is kind of like outside of bodybuilding? Maybe bodybuilding's in there a little bit, but in the future, what is that pursuit? What is that vision? What is that dream? What is that goal for you?
My dream is to give my daughter the best life she can have. Obviously, my super dream would be to get her on a IFBB stage herself. So, and, maybe grace that Olympia stage. That would be my future dream for my daughter. However, I don't know if her mom would like that too much, but that's what I would like. But honestly, in 5-10 years, I want to be a better man than I am now. I want to be a better father. I want to be better financially. I want to put all the gym debt and all the gym stuff behind me and it be a distant memory and a lesson learned, not something that I just forget, because I don't want to forget my past. I want to remember my past so I can reflect on it every day and know I don't want to go back there and I want to be better. But the most important, Josh David Meyers, J.D. Meyers, is building a better life for his daughter, obviously having my IFBB Pro card and carrying on a, whatever it is when people see me and they ask me, what'd you do? I'm an IFBB Pro bodybuilder, and representing the sport well so they know, and sharing my memories and sharing why it's a great sport, why it's good to be involved in, why fitness is important in this world today, and just being a positive, role model to her. She is the most important thing in my life, and she always will be. So, and that's 5 years from now what I look at, obviously, like there's other things that are smaller in there, but that's the most important. Just being better financially, being a better man, and building a great life for her.
I love that, man. That's good. You know what, dude? I'm really excited to get this podcast out, because there's just been a lot of valuable wisdom, valuable life experience that you shared, and it's just awesome, man. It's refreshing to have people that are willing to open up and share their story, right? So, an Iowa question for you, okay? High V or fairway?
Okay, that's hard. You know, Kurt Warner
Yep,
worked
of
at High
course.
V. So I got to go with High V because Kurt Warner worked there as like, what was he, like a meat guy? He
Yeah.
cut yeah. So it's got to be High V
Okay.
all the way.
Okay. All right. So my dad, he grew up, his first job was Fairway, and we moved to the town that I live in now, my hometown, because it was his first manager's position for Fairway. So I grew up being brainwashed of how great Fairway was or is. But then once I moved to Des Moines and lived in Des Moines for a while, yeah, it's kind of like the West Des Moines is the headquarters for Hy-Vee, right? And they're like open 24 hours, and you can go there, get all the organic food, everything you want. So I kind of switched over to Hy-Vee, but somebody that's truly from Iowa, they will understand that question, right? So cool. All right, JD, I'm going to give you kind of the final thoughts, the final words, anything in closing that you want to share with myself and the listeners, please do so at this time. And then also please share, where can people connect with you? Where can people follow along your bodybuilding experience? And anything else that you want to share in terms of sponsorships or shout outs, the floor is yours.
First, I'd just like to say thank you for having me. It was a true honor. I enjoyed it. Second, I'd just like to give the message that I said a couple times. If you're in a spot where you don't feel good, your mental health, do not be afraid to call someone. Do not be afraid to reach out, especially my fellow veterans. If you guys are in a bad spot and you need someone to talk to, you can find me on Instagram at JD Meyers, MYERS __, and reach out to me, and I will get you connected with who you need for help. And that goes for anybody, not just veterans. But just know that, you know, suicide rate for veterans is high, and it's very sad that we don't pay more attention to it, because I am very, very all about military veterans, and I love my country. I defended my country, and so did these other veterans, and we need to look out for them as people and citizens. Even if you didn't serve, understand that these people, it's hard for them, and they go through stuff when they come back. So just stay positive. Know there's people out there that want to help you. Know there's real, genuine people out there that you could meet tomorrow and could change your life and be your best friend in 3 days, better than a friend you've had for 10 years. It can happen. And just be positive and stay positive, and reach out and get the help you need. So, and I would like to give a shout out, obviously, to Dom. I want to thank him for everything he's done for me. And also I'd like to give out a shout out to Andy for everything he's also done to me. If you're looking for those guys or want coaching or want training when you're in Vegas, you need to go to Fit Club and find Andy. Look him up on my Instagram. You can find his handle name and hit him up for a session. It's incredible being on that newbie. And if you go to Fit Club, you'll see an awesome atmosphere. So that's pretty much it.
Cool. What's Andy's last name for the listeners so they can find him on Instagram?
Handle name. It's Andy Velcich. That's going to be ANDYVELCICH. That's his handle name on Instagram. So If you look that up and you're in Vegas and you want a session with him, hit him up, and he'll definitely get you set up and enjoy having you. So, cool. And if you want someone that's all about bodybuilding, that's who you need to go to.
For sure. No, and for you listeners, I will make sure I'm going to be reaching out to Andy here at some point and get him on the podcast. But for you listeners, for you viewers on YouTube, I will make sure I put Dom's Instagram and Andy's Instagram in the show notes along with JD's. So if you want to connect with JD, make sure you go to the show notes, whether you're listening to this on YouTube or you're listening to it on another podcast platform. Go to the show notes. JD's Instagram will be there. Dom's Instagram will be there. And then Andy's will be there as well. Dom has actually been a previous guest on Behind the Muscle, so you can scroll back and find his episode. He's also got a pretty powerful story, been through his own trial. So JD, first of all, you're welcome. You thank me for the opportunity to come on. You're welcome. And once again, thank you for coming on. Thank you for opening up, being real. And I'm looking forward to seeing you accomplish that IFBB Pro pursuit. All right, my man?
Thank you so much. For
sure. Listeners, viewers on YouTube, once again, thank you so very much. If it wasn't for you, the podcast wouldn't exist. The YouTube is growing, the Instagram is growing, and that's not because of me, it's because of you guys. You guys are supporting the podcast, you're supporting the YouTube, you're supporting the Instagram. Thank you so much. 2 favors that I'd ask, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. That is important because I release all of these episodes first on YouTube, and then I shoot them out to the other podcast platforms. The second favor I'd ask, please take JD's episode and share it on all of your social media platforms. Make sure you tag JD, make sure you tag Behind the Muscle so that we know you guys listened and you found great value in this specific episode. Also, why don't you guys go ahead, if you're on Instagram, which most of you are, give JD a follow and just support him as he is getting closer to the nationals, where he's going to be shooting for that IFBB Pro card. And if you are on YouTube right now and you're listening to this, why don't you go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section in regards to your favorite piece of advice, your favorite takeaway, your favorite part of JD's story. That would be cool to hear from you guys. And then finally, I will leave you all with this. Remember, behind the muscle, there's always a story. We'll catch you guys later.